නව ලයිෆ් බොයි කොහොඹ ස්වභාවික කොහොඹ සාරය සමග හානිකර පැරබන් රහිතයි.
හරිම සුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Friday the 10th of February 2023. Unbreakable, wow. Election Commission gives undertaking to the Supreme Court that local government elections will be held. Night of celebration. TV Derana wins accolades at the Sumati Awards 2023, including the award for Best Investigative Reporting. Emissaries of Goodwill. A large Chinese delegation comprising government officials and corporate representatives to visit Sri Lanka. Solar event. A large part of the sun breaks off, raising concerns among the scientific community.
උසස් පෙළට පසු qualify වෙමු ඉහළට යමු ජය අරගමු ප්‍රොමෝෂන් එකට ඊළඟ දාගත්තොත් ඩිග්‍රිය ගොඩ
ජාතික කවලිකලමනා කරන ආයතනය NIPM වෙතින් රාජ්‍ය වගකීම සහ ලෝපිළිගත් උපාධියක් තරුණ ඔබට be smart, be qualified, be recognized with NIPM ජාතික වැවිලි සරසවිය.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Andrew Bernard. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Very good evening and welcome to AdaDerana 24's English News. In your top story for tonight, the Supreme Court today terminated the writ petition filed by several opposition parliamentarians requesting a writ order to be issued to the Election Commission to take necessary steps to hold the local government election. The decision was taken by the Supreme Court as the Election Commission via his attorneys, President's Counsel Salia Piris, made an undertaking to the court that the election will be held as planned. Two writ petitions filed by parliamentarians including Ranjit Madhuma Bandara, Lakshman Kiriyalla, Professor G.L. Piris, Anupriya Darshanayapa, Dayasiri Jayasekara and M.A. Sumantharan to issue a writ order to the Election Commission to take necessary steps to hold the local government election were taken up for consideration before the Supreme Court today. The Election Commission Chairman Nimal Punchiheva and Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena have been named as the respondents of the petition. The attorney appearing on behalf of the Election Commission, President's Counsel Salia Piris, gave an undertaking to the court that the necessary steps will be taken by his client as per the law to hold the local government election. Piris also said that even though Article 104 of the Constitution states that the support of all government institutions needs to be provided to the Commission for the election, his client is facing various issues in holding the election. During the hearing, the judge bench pointed out that the Election Commission gave an undertaking to the Supreme Court earlier that the election will be held as planned and added that the Commission has to act per the undertaking. Attorney of the Election Commission, President's Counsel Salia Piris assured that his client has not changed their stance. Meanwhile, Justice Eithurai Raja of the three-member judge bench said there's no need to consider this petition further if the Election Commission provides an undertaking that they will fulfill the request of the petitioners. Appearing on behalf of the petitioners, President's Counsel Romesh De Silva said they are satisfied with an undertaking that will be made by the Election Commission to the Supreme Court. Upon recording the undertaking of the Commission, the Supreme Court ordered that the petition be terminated. Now, meanwhile, at Parliament today, parliamentarian of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana Rear Admiral Dr. Sarath Veerasekara says that MP V. Vigneswaran is deceiving the Tamil people through his calls for federalism, knowing that Sri Lanka's identity as a unitary state can be changed only when a two-thirds majority of parliament and a referendum. Meanwhile, Tamil Thesiya Kuttani parliamentarian C.V. Vigneswaran said Tamils of the north and east are demanding the implementation of the 13th Amendment as a right as international law.
Now LTT threat is no more. The threat is no. Country being divided through an armed struggle has come to an end. As principal opposition party's principal spokesman says that we want to develop within an undivided country, and then still you say you all are traitors. You say are you trying to protect the country's integrity, or are you trying to divide this country? This is our question. පෙරේදා ජනාධිපතිතුමා පත්‍ර ප්‍රකාශනයට පසුව අපි දැක්කා ඉස්සෙල්ලාම පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් ඉවතට යනකොට විග්නේෂන් අපිට ෆෙඩරල් ඕනේ ෆෙඩරල් ගන්න නැතුව අපි කවදාකවත් පස්සදාකවත් කියලා. එhmenan මම ඊටාම ඕනෑකමින් කියනවා විග්නේෂන් මන්ත්‍රීතුමාට කවදාත් එහෙමනම් පස්ස බලන්න ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. අපි දන්නවා කියලා මේ ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ දෙවෙනි වගන්තියේ තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම තමයි තුන්වෙනි වගන්තියේ තියෙනවා. මේක වෙනස් කරන්න නම් 3න් 2ක පාර්ලිමේන්තු බලයක් අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා සහ ජනමත විචාරණයක් අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා කියලා. ඉතින් සුප්‍රීම කෝට් ජජ් කෙනෙක් හැටියට හිටපු එතුමා මම හිතන්නේ ඒක දැනගෙන තමයි මේ දෙමළ ජනතාව රවට්ටන්න මේ වගේ ෆෙඩරල් අවශ්‍යයි කියලා කියන්නේ. Telling you have to have a federal state to meet the aspirations of the Tamil in the north. What about the aspirations of the Tamil in the south? Do you mean to say that you are not concerned about aspirations, or you are fully satisfied that the aspirations of the Tamils in south are always met?
The Tamils of the north and east are asking for something which the international law gives them the right to name and enjoy. Article 1 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights states all rights have the right of self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely run their political status and freely pursue their economic, social and cultural development. Cultural land and police powers to the north and east under our unitary constitution would not lead to under any circumstances. It would only curtail and to some extent control the nefarious control carried out by the centre and its agents in the north and east. I ask their venerable sirs whether they perpetuate the wrongs done by the centre in the north and east, in the centre not to grant land and police powers to the north and east, which they are by law entitled. In the 13th Amendment can never lead to of any sort, since it is decentralization in the 13th Amendment and not power sharing. The 13th Amendment coming under the unitary constitution give unitary constitution whatsoever to the provinces to think freely and independently. Finally, let me hope that the much maligned and hated 13th Amendment would be implemented in full, at least for the moment, until an opportunity dawns on the powers that be in Sri Lanka to grasp voluntarily or involuntarily the right of self-determination to the Tamil-speaking people of the north and east. Thank you.
Now, the Court of Appeal today dismissed the petition filed by the Public Utilities Commission requesting for an order that prevented the Ceylon Electricity Board from disrupting power supply during the period of the GC Advanced Level examinations. This court further ordered for the PUCSL to not incur the payment for the lawsuit that was filed by the chairman of the commission. The petition filed the Public Utilities Commission requesting to issue an order preventing the Ceylon Electricity Board from disrupting power supply taken up for consideration today before a judge bench of judges Dhammika Ganepola and Sobita Rajak. The petition filed by the PUCSL states of students sitting for GC Advanced Level examination complained that power disruptions during this time exam has severely inconvenienced their children. Attorneys representing the CEB and CPC, other members of the PUCSL did not petition being maintained. They requested the court as the content of the petition lacks any basis. Accordingly, the Court of Appeal decided to reject the petition before taking it up for consideration. A valid reason to be taken up for consideration. The court stated that the cost of the lawsuit filed by Chairman PUCSL Janaka Ratnayaka does not need to be incurred. PUCSL. The judge bench further ordered for the Auditor General to carry out an investigation into the matter. In the meantime, the Supreme Court rejected the contempt case filed by the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka against various parties pertaining to the uninterrupted supply of power during the 2022 GC Advanced Level examination today. After a long study of the facts for 2 days, the decision was announced today by the 3-member judge of the Supreme Court, comprising Gamini Amarasekara, Tuni Vikramasinghe and Shiran Gunaratne. Now, the International Monetary Fund said it's for a $2.9 billion US dollar loan without crisis-riddled Sri Lanka will depend on the nation securing assurances on debt relief from its creditors. A spokesperson for that Sri Lanka continues to engage with the federal creditors to obtain financing assurance. Also continues to advance domestic reforms. The remarks were made in a statement on the progress of its extended fund facility to the South Asian nation. The spokesperson went on to say that the EFF arrangement for Sri Lanka can be presented to the executive board for approval as soon as adequate assurances are obtained and remaining requirements are met, including by the Sri Lankan authorities. No progress review discussion. Census work of the Welfare Benefits Board, the President's office under the patronage of senior the President on National Security, Sagal Day. The aim of the meeting was to identify the affected by the current and those with low income and to provide them necessary assistance. The Welfare Benefits Board has benefits with determining who is eligible for welfare benefit for transparent manner and creating a social security fit register. During the discussion, it was reviewed that the data census will cover every divisional secretary division across the country, with the census work already completed for 23 divisions. The welfare benefits program is fully supported by the World Bank and they are providing the necessary technical assistance. Officials were instructed by Sagal Ratnayake to keep the World Bank informed of the program's progress. The discussion will also be continued at the District Secretaries Conference next Tuesday. Senior Advisor to the President on Economic Affairs, Dr. R.H.S. Samaratunga, and representatives from the World Bank, including the Country Manager, Chief Khanda, and Senior Economist Richard Walker, were among those attending the meeting. Welcome back. Now AdaDerana bagged multiple accolades at last Sumati Awards 2023, including Best Investigative Reporting. The 27th edition of the Sumati Award 23 was held in Colombo yesterday. The awards were presented for a varying amount of programs that were telecast in 2020 and 2021. AdaDerana and AdaDerana reaffirmed its excellence in the film at the Sumati Awards 2023. Secure top awards including Best Investigative News. Naomi Fernando of AdaDerana was awarded the Best Current News Reporting for the year 2020 program on the importance of PCR test.
Naomi Fernando.
Dinendra secured the second place for the Best Television Reporting in 2021 for AdaDerana investigative program that exposed the incidents and abuse at the Avanti Devi Children's Home. Kalindu Karuna Ratna of AdaDerana awarded first place in the Best Television News Anchor category News 20.
විශ්ව වර්ෂය වෙනුවෙන් හොඳම රූපවාහිනී ප්‍රථම රූප නිවේදක ප්‍රථම ස්ථානය AdaDerana Kalindu Karunaratna.
Meanwhile, Mahika Madhushani secured the third place in the category of Best TV News Anchor in 2021.
තෙවන ස්ථානය 2021 හොඳම රූපවාහිනී ප්‍රවෘත්ති නිවේදක තුන්වන ස්ථානය Mahika Madhushani AdaDerana.
The jury's Special Merit Award for the year 2020 was awarded to Shamila Dharmarasa Fonseca, the director of Podu Drama telecast on AdaDerana.
නාලිකාවේ විකාශය වූ පොදු අධ්‍යක්ෂණය කළ ශෝමිලා ධර්මරාසා ෆොන්කා.
Meanwhile, Vasanthi Nanak AdaDerana secured the award for the best television program of 2020 for the program Amma Varune. A member of AdaDerana accepted the award on her behalf. In the meantime, Sachita Kalingam the award for the program Workplace Harassment area of Best of Social Media under national interest. Meanwhile, the Best Actor of 2020 was given to Dasun Patira, while Udari won the Best Actress award that year.
2020 වසරේ හොඳම නිලිය.
The award, however, actor for the year was won by Tusila Laknath. Tilakaratna won the Best Actress award for that. Now the China to Sri Lanka, Chi Hong says a delegation China, including officials from the Chinese provincial governments and other companies is Sri Lanka next month. During an event Ministry of Health today, the Chinese envoy said that the delegation will be visiting the country in search of new investment opportunities. China donated a stock of medicine worth 4 million rupees to the Ministry of Health today. The donation, which was handed over to the Ministry of Health by Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Chi Hong, will be used by the Apeksha Cancer Hospital in Maharagama and the Lady Ridgeway Hospital.
No matter how this regional, international, and our domestic situation in our both countries may evolve, our commitment to enhance our friendship never change. Because this is in the interest of our two peoples, and this represents our own aspiration. There may be some external factors that cause damage to our friendship, but I believe that this will not change the course we stay on. And in today's ceremony, all the drugs are donated by the CPA-FFC to Sri Lankan side with the hand of the Sri Lanka-China Friendship Association. And other organizations in the provincial level, municipal levels, and other friendly organizations will continue their efforts to help our brothers and sisters in Sri Lanka to tide over difficulties. The Chinese tourists have already traveled to many Southeast Asian countries, including Thailand. And Sri Lanka, this is a good news, Sri Lanka has been listed into the first batch of tourism destination in China. As far as I learned, that in the next months, the Chinese delegations representing the provincial level governments, the municipal governments, or the companies will gradually visit Sri Lanka to seek for more investment opportunities. And I also cordially welcome our friends in Sri Lanka to visit China, to visit for tourism and for cooperation. This time, I returned to Sri Lanka by taking a plane from the Sri Lanka airline, and my friends told me that maybe in May or April this year, the numbers of flights between China and Sri Lanka may double.
Now, an earth tremor of magnitude 3 on the Richter scale struck the Monaragala district this afternoon. According to the National Building Research and Organization, the tremor was felt at around 12:01 p.m. in the areas of Monaragala, Vellawaya, Puttala, Kumbukkana and Okkampitiya. The Geological Survey and Mines Bureau said that other areas of a tremor of 3.5 also occurred 3 minutes after the first one. Geological experts say minor tremors are common in areas below Puttala and Lunugam-Vehera. However, experts say that there is no need for public fear. The Sri Lankan shares ended lower today, hit by losses in energy and consumer discretionary stocks. The all share price index fell 0.27% to 8,938.48, while the S&P/SL 20 index ended at 2,751.41 points, after 11.7%. The trading volume on the all share price index fell 40.3 million shares from 44.6 million in the previous session. In the meantime, market turnover rose to 1.41 billion Sri Lankan rupees or $3.91 million from 1.22 billion rupees on Monday. During the week, the ASPI and the S&P/SL 20 lost 2.6% and 3.7% respectively, while recording an average daily turnover of 1.67 billion rupees. Foreign investors were net buyers in the equity market, purchasing stocks worth 187.8 million rupees, while domestic investors were net sellers, offloading 1.39 billion rupees worth of shares. In the meantime, the capital goods sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, while the insurance sector was the second highest. Now let's take a look at how the rupee traded against other major currencies during the day. The European markets started the new trading week on a negative note as investors assessed the latest economic data and interest rate outlook. The recession took place even though the index closed higher, with economic outlook and corporate earnings high in the agenda. European markets are comparatively low as investors assess the economic outlook and the potential for further monetary policy tightening from the US Federal Reserve. The Pan-European Stock 600 index was down 1.3%, while most sectors and major bourses were in the red, with retail stocks leading losses down by 3.7%. However, the oil and gas stocks opposed the trend with a 2.2% uptick. Meanwhile, the UK preliminary fourth quarter GDP figures showed that the economy flatlined in the fourth quarter to narrowly avoid recession in line with the consensus forecast on today morning. According to the projections of the Bank of England last week, the country would enter a shallow but lengthy recession in the first quarter of 2023. Now, Russia will cut off crude oil production by 500,000 barrels per day from next month as a result of the imposed price cap on the country's seaborne exports by world's major developed economies. As stated by the Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak, Russia believes that the mechanism of price caps on Russian oil is an intervention in market relations and an extension of destructive energy policies of the collective West, and his press service confirmed that crude oil output will be affected by the cuts. Russia plans on cutting off oil output by 500,000 barrels per day since next month to retaliate against Western sanctions and a sharp increase of oil prices. The European Union and the G7 imposed a raft of measures on Russia in recent months aiming to curtail its oil revenue, a key source of cash for its budget. Those measures include a ban on most imports of crude oil and a global price cap of $60 a barrel for Russian crude, while the mechanism requires Western shippers and insurance to ensure the price cap is respected. The cut is equivalent to about 5% of Russian oil output, and this will contribute to the restoration of market relations. According to Reuters, Russia took the decision to reduce its output without consulting the OPEC Plus group of producers, where OPEC Plus decided in October to cut output by 2 million barrels per day and has not adjusted that stance since. Furthermore, the move threatens renewed turmoil in the oil market. And that's all the news we have for this evening. Join us again tomorrow for the very latest news at the very same time. Have a pleasant evening and good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.